Are we already live?
Yeah. So, to be honest, there's usually a lot more people here than this. I'm not sure where everyone is. So, yeah, it's Christmas time. Some of us were out, we were doing Naga Sankirtan in Newcastle yesterday. We were out doing Kirtan, book distribution, Prashadam distribution. There's about 17 of us out there yesterday. A few people are away at the moment, and because it's Christmas time as well. But I'm sure, as we always say, as we get closer to Prashadam time, there will be more people here. And yourself and Unimai have cooked today, right? You've probably cooked for like 100 people, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have loads of takeaway.
Yeah, so that means if more people don't come, that means we all have to eat enough for 10 people. And Matji, what's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Charna.
Charanath.
No, Charna. It's J-H.
Jarana.
Yeah.
And you've been here before, haven't you?
I came for before last week, one time. This
Yeah.
is the second time now.
Oh, thank you for coming. Yeah. And are you also studying here?
Yes, sir.
Nice. And what do you study?
Accounting and finance.
Computer science.
Accounting and finance.
Accounting and finance. Sorry, I'm getting a bit deaf in my old age. Nice. And whereabouts are you from?
Pakistan.
Are you from Pakistan? Very nice. Assalamu alaikum. I'm just joking. Thank you very much for coming. And you've been to ISKCON temples before?
There are not a lot of ISKCON temples, but I've been to one in my city.
Okay, nice. Oh, thank you very much for coming again. You're very welcome.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You must both be feeling quite cold here at this time of year, I guess, compared to, your hometown. We're also feeling cold as well. But yeah, we're gonna do a little more chanting now. We usually sing a nice song, Jaya Radha Madhava, before we chant, before we speak. So, Jagannath, could you maybe just put up the board for Jaya Radha Madhava, please, for anyone who doesn't know? Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to sing a little, and then we're going to read from the Bhagavad Gita, and we're going to try and relate it a little bit to what's going on in society at the moment. Particularly here in this part of the world, people are celebrating Christmas. You know, there's 11 days till Christmas now, so it's a big thing over here. And mainly it means that people are going out, rushing around on their weekends trying to find Christmas presents, getting quite stressed out. But yeah, we have to see how Bhagavad Gita can relate to our daily life. What relevance does it have? So yeah, we're going to sing this song here, and then we'll sing Hare Krishna a little bit afterwards. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjami Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjami Yashoda Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Pramanande. So thank you for joining us there, chanting Hare Krishna. We'll do a little more chanting later. But for now, we will read from the Bhagavad Gita. So we do have some Bhagavad Gitas. We can pass them round if you want to go and help yourself and get a Bhagavad Gita. Or if you just want to listen, that's also fine. And even you can look on your phone, you can get online database. And we're going to read from chapter 5, text 22. But before we read from the Bhagavad Gita, we should recite a little invocation to invoke auspiciousness, because the Bhagavad Gita is non-different from Lord Krishna. These are Krishna's words. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are going to read from chapter 5, text 22. So it starts on page 297. So I'll just go through the Sanskrit myself and then we'll read the purport. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate ajantavanta kuntaya nateshu ramate buddha. Okay. Translation. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So please repeat after me. An intelligent person. Come on, you got to say it like you mean it. Let's try again. An intelligent person. Does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Welcome. Someone can maybe get these ladies a Bhagavad Gita. Thanks for coming. Have you been before? Yeah. Wonderful, I thought I recognised you. Thanks for coming. Okay, purport. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary, because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana it is said, Ramante yogino nante satchanande chidatmani iti rama padainashu. So, param brahma padiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, 5.5.1, it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajan riloke kashtan kaman ahati vid pujam ye tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam sujya dasmat brahma sokyam tvanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labour very hard for sense pleasures while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified. And as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Put your hands up if you'd like to experience unlimited transcendental bliss. That's why we're here today, isn't it? So, the good news is we're going to explain how we can experience unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. Om Agyanatimanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurimilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manopishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Swarupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'll just read the translation again. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery. And what are the sources of misery? So it says, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So, the reason we've chosen this verse today is because it relates to Christmas. And it doesn't relate to Christmas in the traditional sense, but it relates to Christmas in the modern sense. So we'll explain what we mean. But first of all, the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is not just a book to read. Okay, put your hands up if you've read the Bhagavad Gita before.
Currently reading.
What's that, sorry? You're currently reading. Well done. Round of applause. Yeah. Well done, Nadia. So Srila Prabhupada one time, he was, there was one gentleman who came to him and he said, Swamiji, I can recite the whole Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes. That's quite impressive, right? But Srila Prabhupada, he said, very good. He said, but can you live the Bhagavad Gita for 45 minutes? So the Bhagavad Gita is not just a philosophical treatise, it is a call to action. It's a call to action. In other words, it's not just a book to read, but it's a book to live by. And then the Bhagavad Gita comes to life when we actually try and apply it in our life. Because otherwise we might be thinking, how does a book that was spoken 5,000 years ago, how does that have any relevance to me now? A book that was spoken 5,000 years ago in India, how does that have any relevance to me in 2026? Sorry, it's 2025 still, I'm getting ahead of myself. In 2025, in Newcastle, Krishna didn't know about the cost of living crisis 5,000 years ago. He didn't know what questions are going to come up in my exams, or whatever it is. We might think like this. But it's a fact that the Bhagavad Gita is not just, a philosophical treatise, it is a call to action. Krishna is asking us to do something about this. And now anyone can experience the inner joys of Krishna consciousness, like this verse we read this verse here. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth. And therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is known as Rama. So the transcendentalists, or the great saints, the great sages, they're enjoying pleasure within. They're enjoying pleasure within. We sometimes tell people these books, they teach us the art of inner happiness. And the example is sometimes given of the musk deer. So there is a deer, and we've given this example before, but it's quite a powerful example, that there's this deer called the musk deer, and it has a gland near its navel. And this gland emits a very fragrant smell. The smell of musk. It's a beautiful smell. And it's said that this deer, it spends its whole life trying to find the source of this wonderful smell. But it dies, never realizing that that smell is coming from within. So in the same way, we can lead our whole life trying to find material pleasure, or, regardless what type of pleasure, trying to find pleasure, not realizing that that pleasure is there within. And that's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us, the art of inner happiness. So, but the way we get it is not just by reading the Bhagavad Gita, Hare Krishna, it is by applying the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. But interestingly, Krishna doesn't force us to do that. Like sometimes people say, who's ever heard this before? They say, well, if there was a God, why is there so much suffering in the world? Like maybe we've thought like that before. If you just turn on the news right now, it's just like, it's quite depressing sometimes turning on the news. There's wars, genocide, threat of nuclear war, assassinations, stabbings, people getting their phone grabbed. It's like, oh, dearie me. So if there was a God, why would God let this happen? Right? But the point is that God doesn't force anyone, Krishna doesn't force anyone to do anything. Because if Krishna forces us to do something, then firstly we have no free will, right? We're not in control of our life. Who wants to think, okay, put your hands up, who wants to be in control of their life? Who wants to have someone else control their life? No one, right? So firstly, Krishna, he gives us free will to act however we like. If Krishna takes away our free will, then there is no question of love. If you only found out that your wife married you, or your husband married you, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend got together with you because they had been forced to, like Jagannath Eshri, how long have we been married now? 11, 12 years. Did someone put a gun to your head 12 years ago and say that you should marry me?
Yeah, you did.
I did. But the point is, no one wants that. If I'd found out that she'd only married me because someone had put a gun to her head and said, I've got to marry Caitanya Vallabha, I would be quite disappointed. Oh, I thought you loved me for who I am. I thought voluntarily you loved me. So why does Krishna want anyone to, we don't want that type of love. Why would Krishna want that type of love? So love means that voluntarily you do something for the pleasure of someone else. And love can also mean that sometimes, even if it displeases us, but it pleases the other person, we'll do it. Right? Is that not the case? Sometimes, like a mother's love for her child, parents, they will sacrifice their life for their children. That is love. No one wants to die, But a parent would gladly sacrifice their life if it meant that their child could be saved, right? You're a father? Is that not the case, right? So love means that sometimes we will even do something which displeases us for the benefit and the pleasure of someone else. So that is true love. And that is pure unalloyed love. And that's the love that the soul has with Krishna. But we've just forgotten that. We're in the material world and we've been covered over. So therefore, no, Krishna doesn't force anyone. And therefore we can't use this excuse. We can't say, well, why are so many bad things happening in the world? If there was a God, he wouldn't let this happen. So you could say, okay, he doesn't force us, he doesn't intervene necessarily, but shouldn't he try to do something to help? Yes. He came 5,000 years ago and spoke the Bhagavad Gita. He also came 500 years ago as Lord Caitanya. And in this age he has appeared in his holy name, Kali, Nama, Rupa, Krishna Avatar. So Krishna is non-different from his holy name. Krishna, the holy name is the sound incarnation of Hare Krishna. So we can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we chant the name of Krishna, Krishna is dancing on our tongue. We're directly associating with Krishna by chanting his holy name. And in many religious traditions, this is also confirmed. In the Christian tradition, right now we're celebrating Christmas. So Jesus, he said, hallowed be thy name. In other words, the name of God is holy. And in the Sikh tradition, we're next to the Sikh temple. Guru Nanak, he said, happy is the person who calls upon the name of God. In the Islamic tradition, they chant the 99 names of Allah. These were all different names of God. So God's name is holy. So in other words, Krishna does try to do something to help. But often, we don't want to be helped. You know? So, the point is, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 63, when Krishna has spoken practically the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Krishna then says this to Arjuna. He says, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So, like they say, you can take a horse to water, but you cannot force it to drink. So here, Krishna has spoken the whole Bhagavad Gita, and it's good knowledge, it's sound knowledge. Krishna knows, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If anyone knows how this world works, how the universe works, how the living entity works, how we can be happy, Krishna knows. If you want to know how, if you buy a new television, if you want to know how does that television work, you contact the maker, the person who made, the creator of the television. They give you a manual when you buy the television. Actually, nowadays they don't give you a manual, they give you an online link. And you click the online link, and therefore you can go on and you can see how to get the full potential. Like myself, I've got a smartwatch, but to be honest, I don't know how half of the functions work on my watch, because I just, I didn't bother to read the manual. So in the same way, Krishna's given the manual for life. He's teaching us, this is how you can use all the functions of your body. This is how you can use all the functions of your intelligence. This is how you can achieve your true potential in life, the true potential of the soul. But we don't bother to read the manual. And therefore we're only using 5% or something like that. But the point is here that Krishna, he says, I've taught you the Bhagavad Gita, but now it's up to you. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So Krishna leaves it up to us. Now, why would we do anything about the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita? unless we think it has any relevance to us, right? Like we said, if it was spoken 5,000 years ago, what relevance does it have to us? So we have to see, how does it apply in this day and life? So right now we said we are celebrating in this country Christmas, right? And in fact, even nowadays, people don't call it Christmas, they call it Xmas. Have you ever seen that? Just with a cross, Xmas. So they've taken Christ out of Christmas. Srila Prabhupada one time, he said, people want to enjoy the kingdom of God without God. People want to enjoy the kingdom of God without God. One time, the leader of the church, he was asked, what will you do when you get back to heaven? And he said, for the first 125 years, I will serve God. And then they said, and what will you do after that? And he said, after that, I will enjoy myself. So this is like wanting to have the kingdom of God without God. In other words, I want to have a good time, but I'm not interested in serving God. So in the same way, we want Christmas, but without Christ. In other words, what is Christmas about nowadays? So just to put this into context, many years ago I did a radio show about the meaning of Diwali. I did a radio show here in Newcastle about the meaning of Diwali. Because the host, he was saying, most people nowadays have forgotten the true significance of Diwali. If I ask any of you now, what is Diwali about? What do you do on Diwali? Those of you from India, for instance, what do you do on Diwali? What's Diwali all about? You pray to God. But you're from a different generation, you see? You're from an older generation. What does Diwali mean? What were you going to say, Deepak?
It's a celebration of lights and it's victory over the bad things. It's the same day Lord Rama came from.
That's okay. You're saying that because you come to the Hare Krishna temple. For the common mass of people, what do people do on Diwali? Fireworks, right? People go out and party and throw fireworks at each other, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, that's what people do, right? So in other words, yes, you're right. Diwali is the festival of light. It signifies the battle, or the victory of light over darkness. Lord Ram over Ravan. And particularly the lights were after Ravan had conquered, Lord Ram had conquered Ravan. They flew back in their flower airplane, and in order for them to, everyone lit lights, and in order for them to be able to land, like you have lights on the runway, then you can land your plane. So in the same way, they had lights, but it was to celebrate Lord Ram's victory over Ravan, right? That's what it's about. Tamasima Jyotir Gama. Do not remain in the darkness, go to the light. So what's now left of it, unless you're a very religious family, the semblance of what is left of Diwali is light. Okay, fireworks. Okay, let's go out and let off some fireworks and eat, drink and be merry, right? So Christmas is also like that. What is Christmas for? Someone tell me, what's Christmas a celebration of? The birth of Christ, right? Christmas, the mass, the appearance of Lord Jesus Christ, Christmas. But interestingly, a recent survey was done, and so only 3/4 of children knew that it was about the birth of Jesus, and 11% of children thought it was about the birth of Santa Claus. So you can see, as time goes on, the original meaning gets lost. Just like with Diwali, the meaning gets lost, and now what's it about? Set off some fireworks and have a party, right? So in the same way, how is the meaning of Christmas lost nowadays? Well, like I said, people take the name Christ out of Christmas now. Now it's just Xmas. It's not Christmas, it's Xmas, So can anyone else think of any other ways? What does Christmas mean practically nowadays in this country? Shopping, yes. Is that where you've just come from? You've been shopping? Christmas shopping? Yeah. So in other words, it's very commercial, right? It starts so early. You know, I was meeting people in, as soon as Halloween's finished, by the end of October, people are already putting up their Christmas decorations, right? And already, and I'm meeting people in like October and things, they're saying, I'm just finishing off my Christmas shopping. And it's like, so that's one thing. It's very commercial, it's about shopping, and in other words, businesses want to make money, right? Okay, what else? Yeah, and spending money on useless things, generally, as well. Right, 90% of the things you buy in the shops, you don't actually need. Right, but you have to I meet people when I'm out distributing books in the streets, and people are like, oh God, I don't really want to be doing this Christmas shopping, but you kind of have to go along with it. Now, for the kids, it's exciting, But for adults, it's kind of like, I don't need anything. If I need something, I can buy it, right? I don't really need anything, but you have to then think about what I'm going to buy for someone. Like right now, I haven't done any of my Christmas shopping yet, and I'm in anxiety. I'm like, oh, I've not done any, and we're doing secret Santas. That means you have to buy a surprise gift for someone, and then you have to think, what are they going to like? And it's stressful, Okay, what else is Christmas about? How else has the meaning of Christmas been lost? Sorry? Holiday. Yeah, it's just like, okay, I can have a holiday, I can have some time off work, and I can just enjoy, in this country, watching the TV. That used to be the thing. It's like, okay, what's going to be on TV over Christmas? I remember when I was younger, my mum used to buy the Radio Times or the TV Times, and I would plan out all the things I was going to watch over Christmas. This was the days before Netflix, and there's millions of channels. But when I was growing up, there was only 4 television program channels. There's BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and Channel 4. And so you used to plan, okay, what's going to be on TV? And interesting, you say holiday. People want to have a holiday. Well, what is the meaning of holiday? Does anyone know? What does holiday actually mean? Does anyone know? Holy day. So the word holiday initially meant a holy day. That's what a holiday was. It's a holy day. No one goes to work that day because it's a holy day. We don't go to work on Janmashtami because it's a holy day. Everyone stops doing what they're doing and they all come together to worship Lord Krishna or Lord Ram. Or we come together, this is the birthday of Lord Jesus. Therefore we're having a holy day. But now that's where it comes from, holiday. Even when we say good morning comes from God morning. Like when people would say, may your God go with you. So if you trace society back in the past, people were much more spiritual, much more religious. Names generally had a religious meaning. My devotee name is Caitanya, but my Christian name is Daniel. That's a name from the Bible, which means God is my judge. But nowadays people name their children after, Paris. Why? Because the baby was conceived in Paris. Or it's, just some made-up name, But often, people had religious names, People, in India, people called Shiva or Durga or like that, some religious meaning. So the point we're trying to make is that the original meaning of everything has been lost. So what else? Well, I've written a few here. Christmas is a time to gratify the senses. Eat, drink, and be merry. I don't know if this is relatable to some of you who perhaps weren't brought up with Christmas, but for me it was like, I remember one time my dad bought me a pack of 50 Mars bars. a box of 50 Mars bars. Does everyone know what a Mars bar is? Like a chocolate bar, Mars bar, you know? And by Boxing Day, I'd already eaten 40 of them. It's a time to let people just get drunk, people eat as much as possible, right? They just try to gratify the senses, eat, drink and binge. So that's why usually in the new year, people make New Year's resolutions and they say, right, from January, I'm going on a diet. Because they've overindulged at Christmas. Anyone else? Can anyone think of anything else? Christmas time, what does it mean? Or how has the meaning been lost? Santa Claus, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Now I have to speak quietly because my children are outside, but you know. Again, Santa Claus comes from Saint Nicholas. So that's where you get Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas. So there was apparently a person, I think he was somewhere in Scandinavia, or was it Germany? I don't even know myself, you know. But he was going around and he was giving presents to the poor children and things like that. But again, it was a way of, it was connected to something spiritual, something religious. On Diwali, right, people give each other gifts, don't they, on Diwali? Same thing, Christmas, people give gifts. But now, and also that comes from when the 3 wise men went to the birth of Jesus Christ, they took gifts. So when you grow up in this country, this is what you learn about. The 3 wise men, they brought gold, frankincense and myrrh. You know, in Poland you would have, you know, Catholic country, right? You learn all these things, the nativity. So in the same way, people would give each other gifts to signify the birth of Jesus. But now, it's just about what do I want for Christmas? Forget about Jesus, what do I want? Especially as children, this is what I want for Christmas. We write a list to Santa, right? It's not about Jesus, it's about Santa. What can I get from Santa? I saw a funny video online last year. There was a young boy, he's probably 7 or 8, you know? And then his dad said to him, he said, if you don't behave yourself, you're going to be on Santa's naughty list. You threaten children with, okay, you're on the good list. If you do this, you'll be on the good list. If you do that, you're on the naughty list. That means Santa won't bring you any presents. So this boy said, I'm not on the naughty list. And if Santa says I'm on the naughty list, I'm going to give him an uppercut. And I'm going to punch him like this and this. Like 8 years old, you know. He's talking about how he's going to beat up Santa unless he gets the presents that he wants. So yes, that's another way the original meaning of Christmas has been lost. Anyway, we won't go on like this all afternoon, but I've written a few things. So yes, it's very commercial. It's a very commercial thing now. It's a way for businesses to make money. People also spend all their money. They save up all year round to buy Christmas presents. You know, and again, things that we don't really need. People are trying to gratify their senses by eating and drinking as much as possible. They say, 'tis the season to be jolly. But actually, I'm out every day meeting people, trying to encourage people to buy Srila Prabhupada's books, and I'm meeting so many miserable people. They said, oh, I'm so stressed out. This Christmas shopping is so stressful. There's too many people in the shops. I don't know what to buy. I haven't even got any money anyway. And it's like, oh. Black Friday. Just recently we had this Black Friday sale. And that's become a whole thing now. Cyber Week, Cyber Monday, Black Friday. And at one point, you see videos of people running into the store to get these bargains, and then people are getting black eyes. So it's literally Black Friday because people are fighting with each other, to try and get this shopping. And I met someone many years ago, and I was distributing books in Liverpool, someone who was a paramedic. And he told me, he said, this time of year, just after Christmas, he said, this is the time of year when there was the most amount of suicide, the most amount of depression, the most amount of divorce, and the most amount of sadness. And why is that? Because, sometimes families that are like breaking up, they say, well, we'll stay together for the kids, for Christmas. But then when Christmas has gone away, it's like then January comes and it's bleak, it's cold, it's dark. You haven't got any money left because you've spent it all in Christmas. You're really fat and overweight because you've indulged at Christmas. You're feeling depressed. So a lot of people commit suicide. They're depressed, divorce, these things. Sorry if we're painting a bleak picture here. We're just trying to show that when we take the original meaning out of something, and here, Santa, so what does Santa mean in Sanskrit? What does Santa mean? Saint, right? That's what Santa means. Or what is the word Shanti? What is Shanti? Peace, right? So in Sanskrit, Shanta is saint or peace. But here, Santa means anything but peace. It really does. So in other words, we're going wrong somewhere. So the thing that we're going wrong is that we are living on this misconception that I am the body. Haribol John. We're basing our life on a misconception that I am the body and I can be happy by satisfying my senses. And I can be happy by satisfying other people's senses. Right? By buying presents for people, they'll be happy. By people buying presents for me, I'll be happy. But there was one French philosopher, he said, we are not humans on a spiritual journey. He said, we are spiritual beings on a human journey. In other words, if we're doing everything to satisfy the senses and the body and the mind, but we're neglecting the soul, we will be unhappy. And therefore I would say that Christmas nowadays is very much representative of that. It's all based on the externals of satisfying the senses. And we can extend that to a festival like Diwali. Like we said, it can mean that the meaning can easily get lost. Just like, people think 11% of children thought Christmas is about the birth of Santa Claus. So as you go on, you stray further and further away. And that's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that when this knowledge becomes lost, evam parampara praptam imam brajashayo vidu, Krishna has to come to re-establish this knowledge. So this chapter 5 that we were reading from is all about how to make steps in the right direction. Right? Because we're not saying, okay, don't have fun over Christmas. Like, I'm buying Christmas presents for my family. We're buying Christmas presents for our children. We have a Christmas tree up in our home. We're not saying don't, like, okay, I'm not going to do anything, Like they have this expression, Scrooge. If anyone's ever read the book of Christmas Carol, there's this character Scrooge and he says, bah, humbug. He doesn't want to enjoy anything to do with Christmas. He's just miserable. So we're not saying we have to be Scrooge and like, no, I'm a Hare Krishna devotee. I will not take part in this, the sources of misery. This is all. No. But the point is we shouldn't forget what is the true purpose of life. What will really make us happy. So this Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, Krishna's teaching us how we can live in the world. This is, chapter 5 is Karma Yoga. So he's teaching us how we can take steps in the right direction. He's teaching us how we can work in spiritual consciousness. And by working in spiritual consciousness in the world, this leads to renunciation. And Krishna consciousness, our advancement in Krishna consciousness can just be gradual in the sense of like even just what we're thinking about, right? So they say your thoughts become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character. And your character becomes your destiny. Let's try that again. So your thoughts become your actions become your habits, Your habits become your character, and your character determines your destiny. So in other words, it all starts with a thought. Last night, my wife and I, we did a little experiment, you know. We were thinking badly of someone, and we caught ourselves, oh, look at us, we're thinking badly of this person. So we said, let's both of us think of 5 good qualities about that person. And as soon as we did that, we started thinking, this person's so wonderful. This person's so wonderful. So we just changed our thoughts. And if we can just change our thoughts from thinking about how I can be happy to thinking, how will Krishna be happy, this ultimately changes our destiny. And it changes our destiny out of the material world. We won't take birth again in this material world, but we will go back home, back to Krishna. Puna janma na vidyate. So, we're not saying we have to completely change everything, but in chapter 5, Krishna says, by working in a righteous way, by giving up the fruits of our action, and by keeping the goal in mind, then our work becomes worship. So yes, we're in the material world, we have to do so many things, but we shouldn't forget the main purpose. Just like in the same way, yes, there's things going on in society, we can take part in them, but we shouldn't forget what is the main purpose. I'll just read this. This is from chapter 8, text 7, and then we're going to wind it up and we'll ask for some questions. But this is a nice one. Chapter 8, text 7 in the Bhagavad Gita. This is on page 421. So Krishna's continuing with this theme here. So he says, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. Now there's just a small purport here. Srila Prabhupada says, this instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. So, okay, put your hands up here if you have material duties to perform. Right, you've got bills to pay, right, children to look after, studying to be doing, right, we've all got. So in other words, this is for all of us. It's very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna. Like we said, our thoughts become our actions become our habits become our character, and our character becomes our destiny. And we can think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then Prabhupada says, this will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt. And the reason Krishna is saying this to Arjuna is because Arjuna said, I don't want to fight. I want to give up this fighting. I want to go to the forest. I don't want to fight this horrible war, this battle of Kurukshetra. And Krishna says, no, you have to do your duty. You're a warrior. Therefore, you have to do what a warrior does. You have to fight this battle. So for us, sometimes we might think, oh, I just want to escape this world, right? I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to university. I don't want to do this or that, whatever it is. I don't want to pay the mortgage. But whatever it is, we have to do these things. But alongside it, we should think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. And if we do this, it frees one from material contamination. Now we're just going to try and wind this up now. In the verse that we read, 522, Prabhupada says, or not Prabhupada, sorry, Krishna says, intelligent persons do not take part in the sources of misery. So 522, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery. So who considers themselves intelligent here? Is it just me? Everyone else is too humble. I consider myself intelligent. Krishna's telling me otherwise, because I am taking part in the sources of misery all the time, which is basically engaging the senses with the sense objects. The one who's actually intelligent doesn't do that, because material happiness is known as chapala sukha. It means it's temporary. It's temporary, it's flickering, chapala or chanchala. And this, it's flickering. Happiness comes, but then it goes. Just like the summer and winter seasons come and go. Like right now it's cold, it's miserable, it's dark. Living in this part of the world at this time of year, it starts to get dark about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. People actually get something called seasonal affective disorder, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, from a lack of vitamin D, from a lack of sunlight. People become depressed at this time of year. People just want to hibernate inside. No one wants to go out at this time of year. That's why there's only a few of us here today. It's too cold to go to the temple today. It's dark, it's cold. It's going to stay inside by the fire. But you're all intelligent persons. That's what Prabhupada's saying. And what Krishna's saying. So the thing is that, it's chapala sukha. Therefore, an intelligent person doesn't just try to chase this temporary happiness, because happiness will come and happiness will go. Just like the summer comes and the summer goes. Like right now it's winter, it's not very nice. But it's okay. Summer's going to come again. May, June, July, it's going to be hot again. We're going to be walking around in our shorts and, flip-flops. But then the summer's going to come, and then in the same way, winter's going to come again. Don't become too attached to the summer. Don't become too attached to material happiness. It will come and go. Don't become too attached to material distress. It will come and go. Try to find our happiness within, by going deep within, to connect with Krishna, by thinking of Krishna. Krishna, he is known as Rama. Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. So everyone wants happiness in this world. Like we said, this Christmas season, it's all about, yes, how can I be happy? I can be happy by eating as much as possible, drinking as much as possible, having a holiday, taking time off. But we're not going within. It's only unintelligent persons who do that. And the Sanskrit word, there's two types of happiness. There's prayas and there's shreyas. So prayas, what does prayas mean? Does anyone know? What does prayas mean?
Prarthana.
Sorry?
Prarthana. Sanskrit word is prarthana.
Saying prarthana, praying.
Prarthana.
Yeah, but in relation to prayas, what does prayas mean?
Short-term benefit.
Short-term happiness. In other words, like taking the easy option. So prayas means, it's going to satisfy me now, but then it's going to make me miserable. Shreyas means, long-term happiness means, it's going to make me miserable now, but in the long run, it's going to make me happy. Let me give you a material example. Prayas means, I'm just going to eat all of that chocolate. Right? There isn't any chocolate there, but that's what I'm attached to. I like, I've got a sweet tooth. So to make me happy means I'm going to drink fizzy drinks and chocolate. Prayas, temporary happiness. But then afterwards, when I get on the weighing scales and I see that I'm 2 stone overweight, and I'm looking really bad and I can't fit into any of my clothes anymore, that's going to make me unhappy. Now Shreyas would mean, no, I'm not going to eat the chocolate. I'm not going to take the fizzy drinks. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. And instead I'm going to eat a healthy meal of just fruit and vegetables. Oh, that's making me unhappy. But in the long run, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to feel good about myself. I'm going to have body positivity. So Krishna consciousness is also like that. If we chase this temporary sense gratification, I'm not going to read the Bhagavad Gita. I'm just going to scroll on Instagram. I'm just going to go on Instagram Reels. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm just going to binge Netflix. Okay, but make a bit of time to chant Hare Krishna and read Bhagavad Gita. No. I'll be happy if I just binge watch the whole of, I don't know, something on Netflix. We're not saying, okay, we're maybe not pure devotees. So we're maybe not on the platform where we can say, yeah, no, I'm not going to do these things. I'm only going to chant Hare Krishna. But the point is we have to make a step in the right direction. And Krishna is telling us that by taking the easy option, prayers, we will be unhappy. So he says that spiritual happiness is like poison in the beginning, but nectar in the end, whereas material happiness is like nectar in the beginning and poison in the end. Has anyone experienced this? Is it just me? Can you relate to what we're talking about? Right? Or, okay, let's say studying. You've got exams. I don't want to revise for my exams. I just want to go out and party. Right? But then after your exams, you've failed them all because you didn't do any studying. So again, Shreyas means, no, I'm not going to go out. I'm going to study for my exams. Then when I've passed my exams, then I can go out and party. Right? So this is the way the mind works. We want cheap, temporary, instant gratification. That's what the world we live in now. It's instant gratification. No one wants to, I'll just buy it on the credit card. I'm not going to save up. I'll just put it on the credit card. Instantly. I'll buy now, pay later. Right? And then you realise, well, I can't pay later. I haven't got any money. Then you get into debt and, whatever. You get the idea. But Krishna is teaching us here that the transcendentalists, they aim for pleasure within. They derive unlimited happiness by meditating upon the Supreme. And the best way to meditate upon the Supreme is by chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just to summarise, and we'll open up for some questions, we said that the Bhagavad Gita isn't just a book to read, it is a call to action. Krishna says to Arjuna, I have taught you all of this, now deliberate on it and do what you wish to do. So we said, Krishna, he's giving us the choice. And then we said, we will only apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita if it has some relevance to us. So then we tried to see how this Bhagavad Gita had some relevance to what's going on. We spoke about Christmas, how the meaning of Christmas has been lost, the meaning of Diwali has been lost, and people are looking externally for happiness. So in other words, we've got the equation wrong. We're basing it on the fact that we are the body and the mind and the senses, and by satisfying the body, the mind and the senses, we will be happy. But then we spoke about how in chapter 5, Krishna is teaching us how to take steps in the right direction. We spoke about how our thoughts become our actions become our habits become our character, and our character becomes our destiny. And we spoke about how by going within, rather than chasing material sense gratification, then one can derive unlimited happiness. And the best way to go within is to always think of Krishna, especially by chanting his holy names. So thank you for your kind attention and your contributions. I would like to ask now, are there any questions? Or are there any reflections? Something that you've heard which you're going to remember, which maybe has, struck a chord or rung a bell within you, or something which has inspired you? Saxena.
2014, my sister and I had to rush to for the cremation of ceremony. Somehow, in a hurry, I didn't buy my travel ticket back from India on Deepavali day. So as soon as I did the worship at home, it's a different way because it was a sad Deepavali. Only thing was my curiosity to see on that day the whole country map would be lit. You understand? Because every sphere of the country there would be some light.
And sorry, how does that relate to what we were talking about? Can you just explain how it relates to what we were talking about so everyone can understand?
The plane fly,
Yeah.
except the runway.
Yes.
I couldn't see. Actually, in fact, you should see whole the country map.
Yes. So that's in relation, because we were talking about Lord Ram. When Lord Ram flew back to Ayodhya, the lights were there so he could see where to land. Yeah. Do not remain in the darkness, go to the light. Thank you. Anyone else have any reflections? Vasu.
Thanks for the wonderful
Thank you.
As you were saying, different things related to Christmas. So what's the significance of a Christmas tree in regards to Christmas?
Yeah. Well, as far as I know, the thing about the Christmas tree, I think it comes from a previous tradition, like a pagan tradition. And I think it's more to do with like the solstice and things like that. Yule. Yeah, maybe you can explain better, John. Maybe you know better than me.
I think it comes from the tradition in the Scandinavian countries, where they used to burn like a log. They called it the Yule log to signify the end of the previous year and the beginning of a new year. And I think the Scandinavian companies donated a Christmas tree to this one. So
If you speak into the mic, then people online can hear as well.
yeah, sorry. My understanding of the significance of the Christmas trees, its origins go back very long time, and they originated in sort of like Scandinavian countries, where the tradition is to get like the log. And they bring it indoors and they burn it to signify the closure of one year and the beginning of a new year. And the Christmas tree, that tradition kind of started when I think it was Norway or Sweden, or one of the Scandinavian countries donated a tree to this country. I don't know when that happened. I don't know when it did happen. It's kind of like everybody has a Christmas tree every year. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John. That's great. And just in relation to that, we can add Krishna to everything. So, for instance, for our children, they grow up in this country and in this culture, and we don't want them to feel like they're missing out on anything. So we don't have a Christmas tree at home. We have a Krishna's tree at home. We call it our Krishna's tree. And on the top of our Krishna's tree, usually you would put a star or an angel, but on the top of our Krishna's tree, we have Lord Jagannath. So we just try to, and we used to have little badges on our tree with like Lord Jagannath and things like that. So we just try and relate everything to Krishna. Like here on the altar, you'll see we have some kind of festive decorations. We have some like holly wreaths and things decorating the altar. Why not? Panchatattva, they are the lords of Newcastle, So they're also the lords of Christmas. What is Christmas? Christmas is celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Who is Jesus Christ? He's the Son of God, Son of Krishna. We're all sons of God. We're all daughters of God. But Jesus Christ was a good son who came to teach people how to be good sons, like that. That's the idea. Prabhupada glorified Jesus actually, several times. He said that Jesus Christ, when he was being crucified, he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And Lord Jesus Christ was praying for everyone else. And he was suffering himself. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is the quality of a Vaishnava. They are unhappy to see others suffering. Para dukkha dukhi. So we have one of the saints in our tradition. He is called Vasudev Dat. And Vasudev Dat, he said that he wanted to take the sins of every living entity within the universe. He said, let me take all of their karma so that they can be liberated. I don't mind suffering as long as everyone else can be happy. So Prabhupada compared, Jesus like that. He said, yeah, this is the natural quality of a Vaishnava. So he said Jesus was a Vaishnava. He was a devotee of God. He came to teach us how to love and serve God. So we can see everything in relationship to Krishna. Yeah. Anyone else have any other reflections or questions? Okay. All right, last one.
The Samta is something related ancient was Sanatan Dharma.
Yeah, well, Santa, it comes from, it means saint, doesn't it? You know? It comes from saint. So when we say Saint Thomas or Saint Nicholas, that's where it's coming from, this word Shanta. Shanta. I mean, that's there also in the Bhagavad Gita. But yes, the saints are the persons who engage in Sanatana Dharma. Savai Pamsam Parodamo Yato Bhaktirodoksaje Hoitakiya Patiyata Yayatma Suprasiditi. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll finish with this. It is said that the persons who engage in unmotivated, uninterrupted service to Krishna, it brings the complete satisfaction of the self. That is Sanatana Dharma, to engage in unmotivated, uninterrupted service to Krishna. And on that note, we will now sing Hare Krishna as the best way to remember Krishna and to enjoy happiness within rather than trying to drive happiness from external sense gratification. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Panchatattva ki,
Jai.
Ita Guru Pamanande.
Hari Bol.
Caitanya Vallabha Dāsa ki
Jai.